Welcome back to another video. Um, I'm going to talk about Ashley Jenea, or Ashley Robinson. Ashley Robinson was her legal name. Um, Anyone who watches social media probably have heard of the story of this is a black young woman who apparently she was on social media, I guess an influencer on social media, who was in a relationship with Joe McCann. And Ashley Jenea was a young black woman. Joe McCann is a white Caucasian white man. He's an older man. Ashley Jenea was much younger than Joe McCann. They went on a trip apparently to Tanzania, and Ashley Jenea never made it back from the trip. She was found hanging. They're saying now, in the conclusion of the case, now they're saying that she died by suicide. While the case was ongoing and they were still investigating, people were saying that they had suspicions, or the majority of people thought that Joe McCann, her boyfriend, her white boyfriend, they were saying that they thought that he murdered her. Whether he did or not, none of us really will know. None of us will know 100% whether he did it or not. Only she knows what happened, and I'll just say only she knows what happened to her. What I noticed is a lot of black women who were reporting on this story when it first came out. If you notice, they have all went radio silent. Maybe, but if you notice, they're all radio silent now. They don't want to say anything about it anymore, since apparently, if this white man who she was dating actually did murder her, then it looks like he got away with it. Another reason why I think black women don't want to report on this now is because they're embarrassed. They are embarrassed because, yet again, it's been shown to the world that the narrative that black women have been trying to put on social media, that white men were so much better for black women than black men, they know that their narrative, it doesn't work, because this story, along with a few other stories, proves otherwise. If this man did take this woman's life, then it would make their narrative fall apart. It would make black women's narrative that white men are better for black women than black men. It would make their whole narrative fall apart. Also, it's been said that Ashley Jenea, this young black woman, her name was on the hotel bill, not this older white man. So apparently she was footing the bill financially. Wouldn't that be a shocker to some people, if she was footing the bill for some of these excursions, if she was paying for some of this? To be honest with you, I had never heard of Ashley Jenea before this. I'd never heard of her ever before this. The man, Joe McCann, that man that she was with, I had seen him once or twice. His face looked familiar, and when I went back and looked, I seen him on an infomercial. He was on nothing that I would pay any attention to, or nothing that I had any interest in. And going back to these relationships with black women and white men, a lot of times black women are wanting to prove a point when they are in these relationships with these white men. Um, they are trying to portray a narrative that they want society and people to think, and they post it on social media to try and spread this narrative. They want it to seem as though they are desired by white men, and overall, in the grand scheme of things, that is just not the case. But that is the narrative that they are wanting to push out into the public. Black women are wanting, these particular black women who do this are wanting it to seem as though they are desired by white men. And I'm sorry, the entire picture, that's just, like I said, I'm sorry, but no, it's not the case. It's not the case. That's not the case. I made a channel a while ago, like years ago, to be honest with you. I made a channel years ago about this same thing, um with black women dating outside the race, and specifically dating white men. um a lot of times in these relationships, black women are financially footing the bill. That's why when the divorces happen, that's why when it comes out, and it comes out in court, but that's why in court, a lot of times what ends up happening is the black woman in the relationship ends up having to pay alimony to that white man that she is divorcing. She ends up having to pay him spousal support. Why? Because of what I just explained. A lot of times these black women are carrying the financial part in the relationship, or they're a good amount of it. I mentioned that I had another channel about this subject I made about 6 years ago. It's a channel that I made about black women dating outside of their race, and specifically black women dating white men. And on that channel, I pointed out all the things that I thought was wrong with that, um, with black women dating white men. Um, One of the videos that I had on that channel, I'm gonna play on this channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and let one of my videos from my old channel play, and then I'll leave the name of my old channel up on the screen so that you can see. I noticed that the title of this video is "Are Black Women Delusional?" And I'm going to talk about the topic of interracial relationships, and my focus on is specifically black women and white men in racial relationships. Um, I noticed that anytime anyone has anything negative to say about this topic, especially concerning a white man, anytime you have anything negative to say at all, black women like to jump down your throat. Yet they have no problem with bashing black men all day, but nobody better not say anything negative about a white man when really, it's it doesn't make any sense, because white men have not proved any way whatsoever, in any way, shape, nor form, to hold that to hold the position of you defending them like you do. The white men have not given any, they haven't earned that position, you know, for black women to defend white men as they do, and have no problem with bashing black men all day long, you know. Um, but I'm going to get into this video. It's about um, the black women who chase after these white men. And for, you black women who like to say, as I said before, anytime someone has anything negative at all to say about white men, or the, your situationships with these white men, anytime anyone has anything negative to say, your favorite thing to tell them is they're lying. However, that's sort of my point for doing this video, is to show that these, and it's not negative, because no matter, you're looking at it as negative when it's just a truth. So no matter how true things are, um, you know, you like to pretend that they're lying. So, like I said before, the purpose of this video is to show that it's not lies. The proof that these interracial relationships with black women and white men have a very high failure rate. The majority end in failure, um, divorce. If you make it past the situationships, relationships, whatever, and if you make it past that, and go on to marital status, those always end in divorce, and it's a very high statistic. It's a very high rate of that, of divorce, and failed relationships with white men, black women. You know, so this is to back up what I'm saying, what I have to say about these situations. Um, you know, the divorce filings, um, you know, the divorce decrees, what these black women have to say about why they're divorcing, which I notice a lot of them like to keep shut mouth about, because they don't want to admit how they were treated. They don't want to admit the humiliation that these white men caused them. They don't want to admit the disparaging words and treatment of these white family members of this white man. They're not going to tell you all that, but common sense would tell you that has 100%, all of those things all rolled up into one, has 100% to do with the high failure rate of these black women white men relationships. Black women white men failed, uh, high failure rates, and the high divorce rates. Common sense would tell you that if things were perfect, and if things were even decent, we live in a world that, especially these days, nothing is perfect. However, you mean you can't even get a decent? Can't even get a decent. Uh, okay, so common sense would tell you, if these relationships were even decent, there would not be such a high failure rate that there is. There would not be such a high divorce rate that there is. There would not be such a high rate of. So that was one video from my old channel. Like I said, it's from about 6 years ago. And I said it then and I still say it now. With the current or most recent interracial breakups with a black woman and a white man, the Travis Kelsey and Kayla Nicole, and Meg the Stallion with Clay Thompson, I believe is his name. Now, I believe Clay Thompson is biracial, but he's more so white. And so they were in my opinion, the two of them didn't even look right together. That's just my opinion. But like I said, that's all I have for now. I've already said why I don't think that black women and white men, work. I don't think that dynamic works. On rare instances, possibly, but in the grand scheme of things, on the whole, on the total, on the norm, no. And that's just what it is for me. I don't think so. I don't think that the dynamic of a black woman with white men, that was this burst of black women that wanted to just throw themselves at white men, and I don't think that that's wise, because you're just opening yourself up to basically be made fools out of by these white men. That's just my opinion. And basically, like I said, the most recent case was this young woman, the Jenea Robinson. I'm sorry, Ashley Jenea Robinson, and this man that she was with, his last name was McCann, Joe McCann. So just to bring it back to that story, this is the story I started off with. Again, this is why I say it's just, they just looked completely opposite. It did not, in my opinion, they did not even look right together. And so I've said what I said in my video, and if you made it this far, I thank you so much for watching. I will come back with another video. Until then, I will see you in the next.